Hello everyone and welcome to this fly tying video. Today we're going to tie a small parachute mayfly. This one was requested on YouTube. So if you guys have any other suggestions of fly that I could tie, just leave them in the comment section below or on Instagram if you follow me there. The hook I'm using is the standard dry from Partridge. This one is in size 16. And the thread is Semperfli's Nanosilk 80 in Olive. To start this off, I'm going to just start right behind the eye, put down a few turns of thread, then go up again, and you want to park your thread here a few millimeters behind the eye, cut off the excess. And here we're going to tie in the material for the posts, and here you could use different materials, some CdC, some polypro yarn, some Antron yarn, and in this case I'm going for some Antron yarn. This one is in the color cream, and I've just taken it off of the spool. I'm going to tie this in facing forward here at this spot, a few millimeters behind the eye. Take a few turns of thread, and then what you want to do is to cut the end off here, and you want to cut this off at an angle, sloping down. This will really help with the taper of the fly. And then with touching turns we're going to bind down these cut off ends here, and as you see you have this nice, you don't have a bump right here as if you would, if you cut these off straight, so you get this nice taper down. This will really help with the tying of the fly. And here, to keep the turns of thread as few as possible, we're going to tie in the tail on our way down, and for this I'm using some coq de lion in the color medium Pardo. You want to take 4 or 5 fibers, put them 90 degrees from the stem, and then tear them off. And here we want to measure this to be about the length of the hook or slightly longer. Take this measurement back, and then we'll tie this in. And then a trick here is to hold the tips here at a slight angle upwards, and this will keep the fibers from rotating around the hook. And then as I come down to the last turn, I want to do one turn underneath, and this will help the fibers to splay out just a little and also stay flat. We can then cut off the ends. The next material is to tie in a rib on this fly, Unimiler in size 16, which is a small size, and this here is in the color pearl. I'm going to tie this in right back here where we tied in the tail. 2 loose turns, and then I want to pull this to be the length of the body. For the body I'm going to mix some Opossum, both in the color natural brown and some olive. So here I'm just doing a finger mix, and the idea is to keep this fly quite sparse, so you don't want much dubbing at all. Just a tiny dubbing needle onto the thread. And then here what I like to do is to use the rotary function on my vise to apply this. I just feel that it gives me a nicer body as it would if I was to tie this up the usual way. And then we're going to bring up the ribbing as well. Open spirals, 5-6 or so. And then when you reach the thread, tie it off, cut off the excess. And now we're going to post this yarn here. So a few turns in front, this will keep it just slightly bit up, and then we're going to make turns just around the post, and this will bundle all this Antron together and also make it stand right up. It will also make this base to tie on the other materials. For the hackle I'm going with this Grizzly hackle. This one is from a cape, but you can go with any color that you like to match the naturals and also the different materials that you already tied in. I want to tie this in right in front of the post and then bring it up 90 degrees from the hook. And I'm going to tie this up just a few turns. You don't want to overdo this, just 1 millimeter or so up. Especially on these really small flies, you don't want to overdo it with material or it will look really off. Then we can cut off the stem. The easiest way to finish off this fly would be just to add some dubbing, the same we have here for the body, just maybe in a slightly different color, but for this fly I'm going to go with some CdC. So here I've chosen an olive CdC feather. I put all the fibers 90 degrees from the stem, and here you don't need much, so I'm going to grab my clip from the magic tool and I'm just going to catch maybe a quarter of all the fibers on this feather, and once you have it like this, it's really easy to cut off the stem. And then the 3 other parts on the feather you could use for 3 other flies. So now to add this, I'm going to use the split thread technique. Spin your bobbin counterclockwise. Then with a dubbing needle we can come in and split the thread in 2. Insert the clip with the CdC. And here, to secure the fibers, you can just spin these between your fingers a few turns, and this will keep them in place. Then spin your bobbin clockwise again. This will cord the thread and trap all the CdC fibers in between. Bring up all the turns and your bobbin. And here a nice little technique that I learned from Marc Petitjean himself is what he calls the online dubbing. And you can take maybe half of, or a little more, of this CdC that we have here on the thread, and you just rub it between your fingers, and this will make for a nice little dubbing rope. And then you will also have these little longer fibers here at the end. And then, as you would for any dubbing, going up to the front, then a few turns back, and once you're out of material, you make half a turn around the post, and I will leave it here on my side. And now we're going to grab the hackle and we're going to wind this down the post, and you want each turn to be under the previous one. And here you really don't want to overdo this. For these parachute hackles you don't need as much material as for the normal hackle. So about 2-3 turns is enough. Then bring your hackle down, and we're going to catch it with our thread that we had here. So I'm going to make 2 turns, and then I'm going to whip finish on the post. It's maybe difficult to see here, but I'm going to do my 3-turn whip finish right under the hackle on the post instead of doing it in front here near the eye. Then pull tight, cut off your thread, and cut off your hackle, and you can cut this really close. And the last thing to do is to tidy up all this CdC mess we have here underneath. For now we have all these long fibers here, and here what you can do is to bring your fly upside down. You don't want any legs on the belly of your fly, so we can cut these off. And then if you have some fibers that you find are a little too long, we can just cut these off as well. It is really not necessary to have all this CdC here, but I think it makes for a more natural looking fly, and also it helps with the floatability of your fly. So I really like to add this little extra on all my parachute flies. And then the last thing to do is to cut off the post. You want to cut this about the length of the body or slightly shorter. And what I like to do is to cut it off at an angle like this. I just think it makes for a nicer looking fly. And there we have the Small Parachute Mayfly. Thank you for liking and commenting. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time, and happy tying!